Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy Mother's Day for those of you who are mothers. Looks like a bunch of familiar faces here, so you know the routine. We start about 5 minutes early. John plays some music, so that way the folks who are at home can log on to their computers, check their sound and all that stuff. So, for the next 5 minutes, the musical stylings of John Shepard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please join with me in reciting what's in the bulletin as I light the chalice. These are matches, right? We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country. My name is Charlie Tyler. I'm privileged to be here as a part of this team to be able to offer a place where we might find safety, find security, and find hope in our own journeys, looking for those things that matter most to each of us in our hearts and our spirits and in our souls. And so I pray that that's a part of who you are and why you are here today, because that's the best way that you would be able to find the significance and value of this time. I have a number of announcements to make, but first, before I do that, Mother's Day, congratulations to those of you for whom that fits and is meaningful. Also want to acknowledge, of course, that Mother's Day is fraught with all manner of other emotions. Not all of us had fabulous mothers. Not all of us have been fabulous mothers. Some of us have lost our mothers. Some of us have lost our children. And those things begin to become heightened in this time. And so I would ask that we would be able to treat our own selves inside this with kindness and with grace and also with celebration. And I know that Dick Hood will be speaking to that a little bit later. Now, for those of you who are guests and visitors, if this is your first or second time, I would love it if you would stand where you are. Just give us your name and tell us about where you're from. One of the things we've just discovered is probably there's somebody else in the room that's from there too. And so I'm going to start on my far right, your far left in that section. Is any first or second time visitors to be willing to stand and share their name? And in the middle section. And in my far left, your right. Any first or second time guests? Thank you for coming here, however long you've been a part of this fellowship and whatever matters to you in your life. We are thrilled that you are here, that we might be able to celebrate this. There's a couple announcements that need to be made. Tish, if you would, come on up and get ready. But I'm going to, while you're doing that, Lynn Nordenberg has asked me to speak with you about the small group dinners. Forms are in the vestibule. Please sign up. And you will shine too when you get there. Groups will meet from June to November. Lynn Nordenberg is doing this. In case you don't know her, tall, high, reach high, reach high. There we go. That's Lynn. Talk to her if you have any questions. Tish, I know that you want to make an announcement.
Good morning. I'm sorry. The ladies' luncheon is on May 21st at the Black Marlin at 11.
To those who nurture, all who provide the example of love and caring that we can take with us for the rest of our lives. Happy Nurturers Day. Give honor and thanks to all who practice this ancient and exceptional art. Now you can stand, Gordon, as we sing hymn number 8.
Father Spirit, where First of all, thank you for your contributions to the Sandalwood Food Pantry and to Bluffton Self-Help. I think you all just need to be encouraged to remember that those donations make a real difference. We'll now pass the basket for support of our own community and for the work that we do outside these walls. I forgot to mention that if you are a visitor, you should feel free to let the basket pass since your presence has already been a donation. Actually, I didn't forget that unintentionally. But since there appears to be no visitors, no one had an excuse not to put something in the basket. But we do thank you very much for your donations.
Now is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns. By sharing our joys, we can rejoice together and celebrate. And by sharing our concerns, we can get support from this loving community. If you have a joy or concern, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, let us know your name, and tell us your joy or concern, and then place the stone in the cairn. No announcements or political statements, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mike Nicholson. And for those of you who know my affliction and the fact that my infusions were suspended for about 3 months, I am now back on my infusions, which I hope is a good thing. And so I just wanted to let you know.
Hi, I'm Betsy. I kind of go with him. Too close. I've just kind of gotten used to this scar. I'm making friends with it. And I was told that I need to have further surgery on my face. And I'm going to have a much bigger scar, apparently. The melanoma I had was very deep and very aggressive, and it could be coming back because there's a little brown spot here. I'm going to MUSC for this surgery, and that it will be a challenge. But the good news is I had a PET scan and I don't have any cancer in my body. So it hasn't cancer. And Mike and I are still dancing in the rain.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy, and I have several announcements from the Care Committee. The good news is Barb and Ed Popka are back in the States and should be home to Hilton Head today. Barb is doing well, but it's going to be a long recovery. She's very fatigued, so we probably won't be seeing her here for a while, but the good news is she's home and healing. And then Janine, and I hope I pronounced this, Geesey, I'm not sure, is recovering from a recent fall. Now, the fall was quite serious. I know she had some head injuries as far as she needed sutures, and but she also fractured her wrist. She has had surgery since then for the wrist, but coming home from that, she had a little bit of knee pain and found out that she also fractured her kneecap. So she's now in a wheelchair with her foot elevated, cannot do much. So her son was with her for a while, and I think her daughter's coming this week. So, but cards for any of these people are very welcome. So thank you for that. Edie Longhenry has been moved to a rehab center, I believe Springer is the name of it, after suffering a fall and then a stroke on top of that. Cards and well wishes can be sent to her home. So. Also, the next one, Charlotte Springer has been transferred to a rehab center after surgery following a fractured hip. Cards can also be sent to her home address. So thank you all so much for the care that you show our congregation.
Well, I want to share a sadness for me and a sadness for many of you in the form of an announcement. Someone who we've always admired and liked and benefited by being their friend is moving away. And that person you saw up here struggling with the match, Tom Duff, he's going to take those skills, and in about a month, he's moving to San Miguel Allende in Mexico. It's a city of about 300,000, and they have a very large Unitarian church there. So I'm going to write a letter to them ahead of time, warning them that he's coming. And so we're going to really miss Tom.
Hope we're not violating too many of these principles, but listen, my name is George, and let me quote what it says in our program under our principles. Equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has a right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. I stand here in front of you as a Navy veteran, speaking that we need the support for the transgender people in our nation and in our military every day. Transgender people have been working in the United States military since the Civil War and maybe before that. So I just rise in support of the transgender people who are being eviscerated by this current administration, and particularly this Secretary of Defense, for no moral reason whatsoever.
I just want to say hello to my friend Joe. Joe's been here a couple of times checking us out, and welcome to see you, Joe. Bye-bye.
I just wanted to say that I'm not Catholic, but I was overjoyed to have an American nominated as the Pope, and I think it's going to be great for our country.
I will place 2 stones in the cairn for the joys and concerns that remain in your heart, and I will place 1 stone in the vase for all of the victims of gunfire.
Oh, it's me. Now,
Would you join me in reading the affirmation? It is number 490 in the back of the hymnal. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through a desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscape, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Wherever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Good morning again. I want to share a brief, maybe not so brief, little snippet of my childhood, and I promise you it does relate to the flower communion and what we're going to do, but it takes a while to get there. When I was in junior high, I had a neighbor, thank you, Diane, who was my age. Paul, I'm going to call him. That's not his real name because I think he's still alive. And Paul and I would walk to school together. But once in a while, Paul's father would drive us to school because the walk to school was 25 minutes back then. So what happened, the routine that we developed was that I would leave my house and I'd go diagonally across the street to Paul's house and pick up Paul, and then some decision would be made about whether his dad was going to work early, had he already left, or if he was going too late, then we'd walk. But if he was going to work about the time we were headed to junior high, he'd give us a ride. That was the good part of this arrangement. But the arrangement had a downside, and that is that Paul's mother had somewhat recently, I gather, left the Congregational Church and joined a very fundamental evangelical church, which is her right. We still believe in freedom of religion. However, she felt it was her goal in life, or one of her goals in life, to convert me. And so if I was standing there waiting for Paul's dad to get the car out of the garage, I would invariably have her mother come to me and ask me some sort of question like, are you saved? Or do you want to be healed? Or something, things like that. And I have to admit, what this did was just absolutely reinforce my Unitarian Universalist beliefs, mind you. She didn't have any success. But what she did as that time went on was she kept mentioning Pastor Ernest. Pastor Ernest said, Pastor Ernest, blah, blah, blah. And I have to admit, I took an interest in that because my middle name is Ernest. So I was a little bit interested in Pastor Ernest. His last name was Ainsley. And I found out he was a TV evangelist. And I have to admit that over the course of a couple of years, at least half a dozen times, I would sneak a look at Ernest Ainsley on TV. And he wasn't on one of the major stations. That was back then when they had those 2-number stations that, you know, were really pretty obscure and played the same things over and over and over again. That was where Ernest Ainsley appeared. He must have bought the time. And he had, what I have to admit, was a rather unique approach, rather unique theology to this evangelical, have you been saved kind of thing. He would start his meeting with a prayer, or maybe a little sermon, and then he would have the sick people sitting in the front row. He would then, and I don't know how he chose them, although I think I did in the end, he would invite 2 or 3 of the sick people to come up and to the microphone with him. He would then say, you are sick and you are thinking evil thoughts, bad thoughts. The devil has gotten into your brain and it's those demons that are making you sick. And if you can stop believing in those demons and stop listening to them, then you will be healed. And I can help you. And sure enough, Ernest would say a prayer, and then he would put his hand on the forehead. You all know the routine probably. And he would say, out, out, stop those thoughts. You will be healed. And son of a gun, the blind could see and the crippled could walk. And everybody in the congregation exploded, and with applause and hallelujahs, and they probably, I'm cynical now, opened their pocketbook when the offering plate went by, because after all, Ernest had healed people. Well, that was fake. But the idea of bad thoughts somehow stuck with me. Somehow Pastor Ernest, my middle name, and my brother's name too, by the way, got to me with the idea that somehow you can have bad thoughts and they can affect you and they can take over you. And now, as a little aside, you ever hear the expression that the minister preaches to himself? I'm preaching to myself right now. That I can say that this is a time when many of us are, through no fault of our own, addicted to bad thoughts. That we can't get bad things out of our mind. That they stay with a family situation that you can't get out of your mind, or a monetary situation. But for me, and I think for others in this room, the bad thoughts revolve around what's going on in our democracy and how our democracy is lessening and slipping away, and we're frustrated because we don't really know what to do about it. those are bad thoughts. And for me, they occur to me time and time again, every day. I can't escape what's going on and my feelings of frustration, my feelings of anger, and finally, quite frankly, my feelings of fear. And that's sort of taken me over. Keeps coming back and back and back. And just when I think that maybe I don't listen to the news anymore, but I do read the paper and I do go online, and just when I think that maybe I'm getting out of this, maybe I can see through this to appreciate other things in life that I've just sort of ignored. Maybe when that is about to come, I get slammed again by more bad thoughts. Let me give you just 3 things that slammed me in the last week. An assortment of men, 20 probably, government employees, go into a home in Oklahoma in the middle of the night. Wake up this woman and her children, force them out into the rain in their underwear because they allegedly are illegal immigrants who are criminals. They trash the house. They take her money, they take her phone, and then they realize, son of a gun, we've got the wrong people. We're allowing that to happen in our country. That just gets to me in ways that it shouldn't. I should be able to compartmentalize, but bad thoughts break through the compartment. Second thing that happened is much simpler, but much more, in some ways, far-reaching. The defunding of PBS and NPR. Huh? I can't get my mind around it. That's a bad thought. It keeps coming back. Every time I flip the station on and it happens to be PBS, I think, what the hell is going on here? And if that's not topping, we have the tragedy of a pope dying, and 1.1 billion Roman Catholics are mourning his death, and rightfully so. And our president posts a photoshopped photograph of himself in papal garb and a papal hat. What? What is that? How can that happen? How can one person who must be aided and abetted by many others be so, I don't have a word for it. When I wrote this part of this, I can't come up with a word to describe how bad that is on a large number of fronts. Bad thoughts, outrage, disbelief, concerns, and fear. Now we get back to Pastor Ernest. I wish very much that I had a little bit of Pastor Ernest in me. That I could take you metaphorically and put my hand on your forehead or put my hand on my forehead, and the bad thoughts would go away. It doesn't mean they'd go away permanently, but they would allow me to retake control of my own thought processes that I think for many of us have just been interrupted as we are bombarded, just bombarded with bad things. Bad, bad, bad. But I'm not Pastor Ernest. And I realize that it's only in my own power, and it's only in your own power, to somehow rewire your consciousness so that you can start to put things in perspective once again, that you can take and balance evil with good, that you can balance callousness with care, that you can balance hate with love. Only us can decide for ourselves. And I think that today we have a unique opportunity for how we might begin that process. Certainly part of that is the Mother's Day celebration. If that is something that is important in your life, maybe that would help distract us for a moment as we remember our own mothers and our own nurturing. But it's also the flower communion, which I think is very appropriate that we do on Mother's Day, because it's a time of simplicity. Flowers. It's a time of symbolizing giving and and sharing. It's a time when we take this special room, this place, and do a very simple act. Bring a flower, take a flower. And so I would urge you, as we go through this process, to stop and see if we can't at least alleviate for a moment the bad thoughts that are part of who we are right now, because we are residents of this country. Take a deep breath. Enjoy the next few minutes of simplicity, of community, and of caring for one another, because that's the remedy for all the bad stuff that's up in our head. John's going to play Spirit of Life. It's a moment maybe to think about rewiring ourselves and rebalancing our mental state. So be it, I hope. Waiting for the church school. Here we go. Flower communion, as it was originally called, is one of the few ceremonies that has widespread acceptance in UU churches. It originated in Prague in 1923, when the Unitarian minister, Reverend Norbert Chapek, found himself leading a congregation of widely diverse religious backgrounds, a situation that very much reflected his own family and his own personal history. The First World War had recently ended, and in its wake, the congregants before him sought comfort, community, and a spiritual home that could accommodate their diversity and support their common needs. The effect sought a symbol that would signify the beauty to be found in the diversity of life, such as a flower that could demonstrate how each unique individual can be beautiful and whole unto itself, but when gathered together can create a bouquet of even greater beauty. A bouquet that represents a spiritual community that embraces the collection as a whole, but never loses its sense of individual members. In response to the historical time and circumstance, and in the place of the more traditional communion of bread and wine known by many of its congregants, CAPEC created the communion of flowers. And in 1940, CAPEC's wife brought this celebration to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it spread widely thereafter. The story is not completely a happy one. CAPEC was arrested by the Nazis, by the Gestapo, spent time in jail, and eventually died at Dachau, the infamous concentration camp. But we do this in part in his memory.
The words that the worship associates are going to share with you now actually come from some original texts from Chalk.
Infinite Spirit of life, we ask that the message of fellowship and love remind us, amid our diversities of knowledge and gifts, to be one in our affections and devotion to one another.
May these flowers remind us of the beauty and value of doing for each other, sharing of ourselves, and cherishing friendship. These are some of the most precious gifts we are given.
May the gathering together of these flowers remind us that we must do what we can do, great or small, for our combined efforts are needed to accomplish the work we need to do in this world.
Let these flowers that we have brought today and will share with each other in the season of growth and awakening be symbolic of our hopes for unity within this community, beauty in this world, and an appreciation for the new beginnings that are always available.
And now I'd like to invite everybody to come forward and to take a flower. And we appreciate all of the abundance and beauty that sits on this table today. Kim is going to go to the back of the sanctuary. Lynn is also we are going to start from the back and come forward. If you would, please go to where Kim is and come up the aisle, get your flowers, and then process out this aisle. So let's begin.
blessing of the flowers be upon you. May their beauty beckon to you each morning, and their loveliness allure each day. May their tenderness caress you each night. May their delicate petals make you gentle, and their eyes make you aware. Make their stems make you sturdy, and their reaching make you care. Amen. Charlie?
So Dick, thank you for the message of casting out those dark thoughts we had. I will confess that last night in the middle of the thunderstorm that I began to reconsider whether Noah's Ark story was actually allegorical or not. I did manage to put that thought away when the sun came up. For those of you that have been a part of this service and making it happen, those of you who are the technicians, the door guardians, the collectors, the children's teachers, and the flower bringers, I thank you for your heart and for the way that you offer yourself to this community and for the way this community benefits from the offerings that you bring. And so with that, I bring us to a time where I'll ask for my good friend Dick Hood to have his final remarks about our time here today.
May the simple things in life lighten our burdens. The shape and color of a single blossom, the timbre of a child's voice, the sound of others in friendly conversation, the warmth of a handshake or a hug. Our thoughts are sometimes heavy. May we find a respite in the familiar but sacred things around us. Amen.
Let us reaffirm the words that accompany our extinguishing of the chalice. While we extinguish these flames, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of connection, until we are together again.
taking some stuff? Yep. Okay.